Hi, it's Mike again. Welcome to CD number 8, and this one, of course, you'll like a lot, which is pricing property. Of all the CDs in this particular coaching sales kit for you, this probably is going to be one of the shortest ones, and the reason for that is because the truth is there's really not a lot we have to say about the topic of pricing. Pricing is a combination of skills, attitude, mindset, and how strong you choose to be on a listing presentation. Pricing also, of course, depends a lot upon where you are with your business. If you're a person taking one listing every 60 days, boy, I'll tell you, you're going to be a pricing problem from A to Z. If you're a person that's taking 8 or 10 listings a month, you understand at a much higher level the importance of pricing. So we're going to give you a series of 19 different thoughts regarding pricing. I want you just to think about them, to listen to them, and then I want you to decide sometime soon, and more importantly, decide with your coach what your attitude is going to be regarding pricing. Let's go to point number 1. It says preview property every week to give yourself a stronger knowledge of your marketplace, and it will give you more confidence in pricing during the listing presentation. If you look at what a great agent does, a great agent always has a strong knowledge of the market. They always have a strong understanding of the market. They thoroughly understand that there are going to be times when the advantage they have is their knowledge of the market, especially when it comes to pricing. Because see, if you're previewing property all the time, you know what's selling, what's not selling, what types of homes, what neighborhoods, okay, what styles, and as importantly, what price range. Point number 2, remember, you're not responsible for the price, the market is. You're simply the messenger. When prices go up, you can't take credit, so don't take it personally when prices go down. Guys and gals, you know, if you're looking at the year 2012, which seems to be a bit of a rebound in the real estate market compared to the last 5 or 6 years, you can't suddenly say to yourself, well, because of me, the market has stabilized. The market does whatever the market wants to do. You're the messenger. And remember, you're not responsible for the price because the buyers and sellers are. Point number 3, our success in getting listings, listen carefully, our success in getting listings always starts with the price. The sooner we set the price right, the faster it sells, the smoother your business runs, the happier your seller is, and the more money you make. See, the entire process of listing and selling homes, believe it or not, is going to revolve around price. In a market that's going straight up, price is the critical issue. When a market is flat, price is the critical issue. When a market is going straight down, price is the critical issue. If you can get into your head that price is the critical issue, you can have a lot more fun in listing property. Point number 4, and I've said this before, we have to know both the office stats and the overall market stats to create a higher impact when it comes to pricing a property. The more you know the market conditions, the more you can be tough, you can be strong, and you can be to the point on pricing. Point number 5, always price a home to sell. Whoa, isn't that a major thought? Always price a home to sell, which gives it an edge in the marketplace versus pricing the same as your competition. You have to understand something, that in the best market in history, properties didn't sell because of price. In the worst market in history, which we really had from 08, 09, 2010, etc., properties didn't sell because of price. What gives a property an edge in the marketplace is the price, because people are always attracted to a fair price. Point number 6, if we go in at 5% under market value, so when the seller talks you up, you'll simply be at market value. See, I've always said no matter what the market's doing, going up, going down, or flat, if you go in under market value with the seller, they're going to try to convince you how crazy you are to bring the price up, and then they bring you up to what would be fair market value. If you go in at 10% over fair market value and then they bump you up 5%, the property you've taken based on the price is simply not going to sell. And then, of course, point number 7, you're going to love this one. Tell them the truth no matter how uncomfortable it becomes. Tell them the truth no matter how uncomfortable it becomes. Guys and gals, you don't want an attorney who doesn't tell you the truth. You don't want a doctor who doesn't tell you the truth. You don't want a CPA or an accountant that doesn't tell you the truth. If you can make up your mind that you're going to be a messenger of the truth when it comes to talking to a seller, believe me when I tell you, your life is going to be a lot better than it is today. Point number 8, our job as an agent is to place the home strategically in the market through the price, and to drive as many buyers as possible to that home in order to negotiate a contract because of the price. So therefore, if you look at how many homes are for sale in that neighborhood, in that price range, you want to strategically tell your seller, we have to put it at a price that will create activity, create interest. So therefore, if there's 22 homes for sale and we're the highest price, we're going to get the least amount of interest. Now obviously if we're the lowest price, it's going to sell hopefully within 24 hours. Our job is to strategically price that property so it draws the highest amount of interest. Listen to point number 9. Any agent can list a home at market value or above market value. Only a great agent can list the property at a price that causes it to sell. Do you want to be another agent or do you want to be a great agent? The truth is, it's up to you. You're going to decide if you're going to really be a great agent or not. Point number 10, as you get to the end of your presentation, be sure to set them up for a price reduction if you didn't get the price you want. And you can do that by virtually getting them to pre-sign a price reduction form at the listing presentation itself. You need to think about what your strategy is going to be if they don't list at the price you want them to list it at the night you take the listing. Point number 11, once the listing's been taken over priced, let them know you will be updating them regularly regarding pricing. Call them a minimum of every week to 10 days regarding their price. Don't let an overpriced listing sit because you're embarrassed, uncomfortable, afraid to call them back. Got to tell them the truth. Point number 12, tell them that if they get a lot of showings with no offers, their property's overpriced. Mr. and Mrs. Smith, if we get a lot of showings and no offers, your property's overpriced. And if we get no listings, if we get no showings, your property's overpriced. Tell them that because you want them to understand the reality of the market. See, if we try to hide from them, we get in trouble. Now, point 13, the market changes on a regular basis. Be mentally prepared for it. Well, what's interesting, I started telling all of our clients in mid-2005 the real estate market was changing dramatically for the worse. They wouldn't listen to me. I told them in January 2006, they wouldn't listen to me. I told them in July 2006, January 2007, they wouldn't listen. Boy, when the market changed in 2007, then crashed in 2008, boy, did they listen for the first time. Folks, the market changes all the time. I told everybody in January, February of 2012, the market's going for an upswing as we speak. They looked at me like I was crazy. By March, they understood the market had taken an upswing in 2012. You got to be prepared for what's going on in the marketplace if you want to price properties to sell. Point number 14, when you know the properties are overpriced, call the seller immediately. Waiting to tell them is a form of malpractice. We wouldn't ever deal with a doctor who'd committed malpractice. We wouldn't deal with an attorney that committed malpractice. If you know the property is overpriced, you got to call them back and tell them the truth. Because if you don't tell them the truth, in essence, you're committing what I call real estate malpractice. Point number 15, in working for price reductions, we have a tendency to talk too much and justify too much. Just tell them what they need to hear. Tell them what they need to hear. Point number 16, turn down a price reduction if you can't get the price you need, because the second price reduction is 10 times harder to get. Instead, call them next week and ask for the biggest price reduction you can get. I mean, always ask for the most, knowing they're going to negotiate back on you. See, if the property is listed at $450,000 and you go in and say, well, I'd like to get a couple $1,000 price reduction. I mean, that's a joke. Don't waste your time. If it's listed at $450,000 and you're trying to get it down to, say, $415,000, walk in and ask for a $50,000 price reduction, because they're probably going to get mad and say we wouldn't give you more than $25,000, which is a lot better than the $2,000 that you asked for. Point 17, explain to the seller that prices are fluid. They'll go up, they'll go down based upon what the market is doing and what the competition does. Watch, the market's always fluid. It's always going up and down. Okay, watch the stock market. It goes up and down every single day. Watch the bond market. It goes up and down every single day. Watch the price of gold and silver. They go up and down every single day. Prices of real estate go up and down. The prices are fluid. Explain that to the seller. Point number 18, if you're still having trouble with the price, consider ordering an appraisal done on the property. See, if you have a certified appraisal done on the property, that pretty much tells the seller the reality of the price, okay? See, the issue is not only finding a buyer that will pay their price, but then having it appraised to meet the market conditions at that price. Sometimes it's just best to order up the appraisal in the beginning to get the seller in line with the market. And then, of course, I wrote down point number 19. Make sure you understand your cost of taking a listing, the cost of servicing a listing, and the cost of getting it sold, so you can have the right mindset about taking a particular listing. The cost of taking a listing. It costs you money to take a listing. You have to prepare. You have to get organized. You have to send out a pre-listing package. You have to prepare the documentation. You have to go on the presentation. You have to spend your time. Many times it's going to be several hours. And then the cost of servicing a listing. From the day you take that listing to get it into the MLS service, to service it properly, to do the marketing you're going to do, to hold the open house you're going to hold, all those things you do is called servicing. And the cost of getting it sold, which is the time it is actually sold to the time it closes, you're going to spend a lot of time and a lot of hours on this listing. What if it doesn't sell? Look how much money you've wasted. So I want you to look at that very, very, very carefully. Well, think about pricing property from this standpoint. You're going to be the determining factor on the price. Let's make sure that you do the right thing for the seller, the right thing for yourself. Let's work on pricing virtually every day. I'll look forward to talking to you on our next CD.